Hey, Stuart here with another edition of Backpacking Tips, Tricks, Hacks, Facts, and Etiquette. On today's episode, what to do if you encounter a bear while day hiking or backpacking in the backcountry on the trail. Well, first things first, I have to say it, I always say it, your personal safety in the backcountry is your responsibility alone. Do your research, watch videos, vet who's giving you the information, look for links online, and make sure you understand what you should be doing in any of these situations that could cause you, potentially, to be in a dangerous situation. The second thing I want to say is that really, you shouldn't be in a situation because you're making noise. You're making noise with your human voice, not a bear bell. Remember, no bear bells. They are placebos. In fact, I'm going to take this a step further and say I think they're dangerous. I think they give you a false sense of security that could put you in a dangerous situation because you're assuming that the bear bell is making enough noise to alert bears in the area of your presence. They're not. Along a raging river, in the wind like today, coming up and down over ridges, things like that. The bear's not going to hear a bell. In fact, I'm going to say it. I think bear bells should be banned in bear country where possible. National parks, provincial parks, other bear management areas. I think bear bells should be banned because I think they could potentially give you a false sense of security and put you in a dangerous situation, because if you're calling out with your human voice or maybe clacking your trekking poles together, that sound is going to carry a lot further, and quite frankly, you will not have to manage a bear encounter most of the time. They will typically hear you and take off the trail, and you won't even know they were there. That said, there's always a chance. I've experienced it myself quite a few times this past summer, actually. There's always a chance you may encounter a bear on the trail ahead of you. And if you do, first thing I do is quickly assess what I'm looking at. Is it a black bear or is it a grizzly bear? The color doesn't tell you. You have to look at the shape of their body, their size, and things like that. Typically, a black bear has bigger ears and looks more like a dog. Grizzly bear, a little smushed, smaller ears, and of course, the big iconic hump on the back. That's how I tell if it's a grizz or a black bear. Doesn't matter in the initial encounter, but it's good to take note of because in another video, we'll talk about bear attacks and what to do in that situation. If you're in Canada, this might be a little bit of a controversial video. I'll explain that then. But the first thing I do is assess the type of bear it is, and then I stop. I literally stop on the trail and I assess one other thing. Has the bear noticed me or not? Because if the bear hasn't seen me, I'm going to back away slowly and take a wide berth around this bear when possible, or simply leave the area. I do not want to alert the bear of my presence if the bear is oblivious to me being there. If the bear does notice you, then it's time to assess its mood. If a bear is huffing or chomping or swinging its head, if its ears are pinned back, if it's pawing at the ground, if it's kind of rocking like this or like this, the bear is stressed. You have come within its, bubble of comfort, and the bear simply doesn't want you there for whatever reason. If that's the case, you need to heed that warning and leave the area. Back up slowly, get out of there. Don't turn your back on the bear and don't run. Just get yourself out of the situation and remove yourself from the bear's stress zone. That's super important. On the other hand, if you see a bear up on its hind legs, it's trying to figure out what you are. What is that thing over there? Goofy looking weird thing on two legs. It's trying to get an idea of what you are. And then one of two things will happen. Typically, if it's a black bear and it figures out you're human, it's going to take off. They typically do. A grizzly bear might not. In fact, a grizzly bear just might go, all right, and go back to whatever it is it was doing. At that point, you have to decide, can I get around this bear or am I leaving the area? What am I going to do? If the bear's just gone back to its business or if the black bear's left the area, okay, give it a couple of minutes, keep calling out maybe, hey bear, in a nice, soft, kind voice, and then try to carry on your way safely. That said, there will be times a bear will come towards you on the trail. This could mean a number of things. It could be trying to actually use the trail, which happens a lot of times in habituated bear areas. That advice you should get from Glacier Park, for example, in the United States, and up in Alaska. In Alaska, for example, in some of these really heavy populated grizzly areas, they will tell you to leave the trail on a 90-degree angle and let the bear pass. I'm not sure I would do that in Banff or Jasper. Again, local information is key. Consult the Park Service for that sort of thing. But if a bear is coming towards you, typically hold your ground. You're going to talk to the bear in a soft, kind voice, like, hello, bear. Oh, you're so cute. You're a nice bear. And you might put your arms up and make yourself bigger so it can identify you as human. If the bear stops, that's your opportunity to back away slowly and give the bear more space. Hopefully at that point, the bear will stop and toddle off and do its thing. Never run from a bear. You may trigger its predatory instincts, and that's not something you want. You can't outrun a bear, and you can't climb a tree to get away from a bear. You can't do either one of those things, so never turn your back, never run away. Keep backing up slowly when the bear stops. You want to see what the bear's doing, right? If you keep backing up, the bear keeps coming towards you, pretty hard to assess the situation. So that's key. If the bear continues to come toward you, and this goes on for a certain amount of time, then you're going to hold your ground again, and you're going to get your bear, well, I hope you already have your bear spray out and the safety off if the bear's getting that close to you, but you're going to have your bear spray ready to go, and probably your trekking poles too. Trekking poles are a great defensive tool. You can get it in the bear's face in the event that this thing progresses any further. And typically before this event will progress to something we'll talk about in another video, you're probably going to get bluff charge. We call it a bluff charge because typically the bear will come right up to you and veer off into the woods 90 degrees. This will be the hardest thing to do. Stand your ground. Make yourself big. Wave your arms. Use a more aggressive tone if you feel it's necessary. Again, you have to observe the bear's behavior. But you're trying to show the bear that you're not a threat, but you're also not prey. And the bear is going to assess you as it charges towards you. And typically, like I said in the bluff charge, it's going off the trail at a 90-degree angle. And that's the time you can reassess your own self and go, did I pee my pants? Sometimes a bear will keep coming toward you, and you may have an opportunity, depending on what the park tells you, which I touched on earlier, to move off at a 90-degree angle and gain higher ground. I did that this summer on Divide Pass when I was bluff charged twice by the same grizzly bear, acting very strangely and very aggressive for me just calling out, "Hey bear," in a normal voice. Here's what I did. Watch this. I'm going to have to back off here. I'm way up on a hill now, and I have lost sight of that bear. It's not below me, obviously, like near me, but that bear is right down there in the frame, and I can't see it. And it did come out charging. Boy, I just need to get a little further that way. Okay, I'm gonna pick my way along this ridge. So I got to higher ground because it gives me a better opportunity. First of all, I'm putting space between the bear and I and getting out of its little circle of comfort, the zone where it doesn't want me around. And, you know, that's important for the bear and its stressors. And this bear was definitely stressed for whatever reason. I'll never understand it. But I got to higher ground, which would help me deploy my bear spray if I had to. And I gave it that 150 to 200 meter wide berth that I felt comfortable continuing on my way. That's a judgment call. Had that bear kept coming at me, I would have had to turn around and go all the way back down to the outfitter camp that I climbed up out of earlier in the day and put a lot of space between myself and the bear. That said, I had planned to camp in the meadows just past the warden's cabin past Divide Pass and decided no way. There were way too many fresh diggings, probably from the same bear going in the opposite direction. And I said, you know what? I'm putting another 10, 12K between that bear and I. And I did. And I went down to the Red Deer River in the Clearwater Red Deer video circuit. Clearwater Red Deer Circuit video. So again, you have to be aware of how to behave, how to handle these situations, because you can't run a checklist in your mind. You just have to respond based on what you've learned and that instinct that you've acquired over time spending it in the backcountry. So a little recap. Most of the time, if you're making a noise with your human voice, you will not have a bear encounter. That's just the way it typically is, statistically proven. There will be times, however, where, for whatever reason, your voice hasn't made it to the bear in time and you will come upon them on the trail. Make an assessment of what kind of bear it is in case it matters later, like in the next video. And then, never approach a bear. Never alert a bear that you're there if the bear hasn't noticed you. Exit the area. If the bear has noticed you, stand your ground and talk to it in a very soft, kind voice, baby voice almost, like you would talk to a puppy or a kitten, and see if that's enough for the bear. If the bear's chomping, huffing, waving its head, back and forth, its ears are pinned or it's pawing the ground, you're within its circle of comfort and you need to exit the area. Your plans have now changed. If you can do what I did in the video that I showed you a second ago and get way, way, way up around away from the bear, that also can work. It depends on the bear's behavior. You never turn your back on the bear. You never run from a bear. And the old adage of climbing a tree is gone. We don't even think about that anymore. And finally, with regard to looking a bear in the eye, that is considered an aggressive thing in the bear world. But if you're far enough away from it and you're looking at the bear because you need to keep contact with your eyes on that bear, trust me, because I lost that one over Divide Pass and that was pretty scary. it's going to be pretty hard for the bear to see if you're looking it straight in the eye because you're too far away. But if you're close to a bear, still the thinking is don't stare at it in the eye. You do that with a big cat, right? Something like that. Use a little different tactic, kind of look off to the side, maybe just a little bit or something like that. It can be a scary experience, but if you're calm and remain calm, typically 99.9% of the time, this is not going to end in a way that, that would be harmful to you or to the bear. And we will address the other 0.01% in the next video of backpacking tips, tricks, hacks, facts, and etiquette. If you live in Canada, this next video is going to be a little controversial. See you then.